What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Alright, so, Wandavision, Episode 8, it's finally arrived. I know I'm going to be kind of in the minority when it comes to this, but I didn't really enjoy this episode, and I personally just can't put a finger on why I didn't like it. I kind of felt like there was some scenes that really kind of went nowhere. There's scenes that could have been expanded upon, that could have been really great. I think the backstory of Agatha could have been expanded upon. I felt like they kind of wasted that whole scene by, you know, I don't really even know what that scene was there for. Was it to show how she got the brooch? Like, was that the point of it? We kind of knew that she used chaos magic. I mean, you know, look, you don't have to be a comic book reader to probably get the idea of what she's using and how she's using it, and that she was a witch. Like we kind of get that. Maybe I guess it kind of detailed that, hey, you know, she's ancient or something along those lines. But besides that, it didn't really expand on the story that much, except for telling us how she got a hold of the brooch. Like, that was it. In fact, I would even go so far to say that I had a question about exactly, was it because she had studied this dark magic, this chaos magic? Is that how she was able to absorb the souls of the other witches? Or was it somebody else that was helping her? Like that's one thing that I don't really quite understand. Is she a servant of somebody else? You know what? I'll admit I kind of do get that feeling off of her. I get that vibe that maybe that's what exactly is going on here. Is because she seems like she's desperate to find out how Wanda come across this this information of being able to be, or this power, I guess you could say. And it almost kind of seems like she's not doing it for necessarily her own benefit, but to actually just try to, maybe for someone else. Like, almost like she's desperate in this situation to find out what is going on. A lot more than what someone is that's, you know, would be, is just desperate for power. It's almost like if she doesn't find out, something bad's going to happen to her, and that's why she's willing to go to these great extents. It just kind of feels that way to me in a lot of different ways. I don't get the feeling, and I know this is just me, because it's not really something that's actually been shown. I don't really get the feeling that she is this bad guy that just has no feelings, no emotions, no anything like that. I feel like she is, she's got more depth, is the way I kind of feel towards it. I feel like she is someone that we're going to maybe find out either in WandaVision or maybe in, you know, I don't know, the next Doctor Strange movie or something along those lines, that maybe she's kind of a character that is in the gray, that isn't evil but isn't good, that serves her own means but doesn't because she's trying to, I don't know, do something good, like protect her son or bring her son back from, you know, an alternate reality, something along those lines. I think that's kind of the way they're probably going to go with this. I could be completely and totally off, but that's what I get out of it. That's what I'm at least hoping for. I'm kind of sick and tired of just these bad guys that are just bad guys to be bad guys. Like, these villains that are evil for evil's sake. I mean, I want something more out of a villain now. I feel like this isn't the 1990s or the 1950s where those kind of things were so cut and dry. I want something that's a little bit different than that. I want something that is, you know, layered, I guess you could say. And I kind of feel like with Agatha Harkness, I feel like they've got a villain that actually could be layered like that. I just hope that they use it in the right way. And so far, I feel like they've done a pretty good job with her. I feel like, you know, they could have just gone the route of Mephisto or Nightmare, any of those kind of big baddies. And it looks like that they're just going to stick with Agatha in a lot of different ways, at least to a certain extent on this as the big baddie. So I feel like they took a leap of faith with her, and she's actually fulfilled basically every one of their wildest wishes when it comes to her character, because she's actually excelled. I would go so far as to say she's excelled as a villain on this show. But yeah, overall, I just did not like that past scene where it was showing her, I guess, defeating her coven or whatever. But for a number of reasons, it didn't really tell how she was able to do it. It didn't tell the reason why she was studying the dark magic. It didn't detail anything about the relationship between her and her mother. So, her mother's death literally meant nothing to me. Her coven's death meant nothing to me. So I just kind of thought it was just kind of a wasted scene in a lot of different ways. Now, as far as some of the scenes with Wanda, the past scenes with Wanda that Agatha made her live through, I don't know. That was kind of a mixed bag for me as well, because I kind of felt like they were tragic, especially the ones with her parents. The ones with their parents that actually explain, why they're doing this whole sitcom bit is because when she was a kid, she grew up on these sitcoms in a war-torn country. And that was really the only good things that was about her life at that time was, the excitement of getting to watch these things with her family. And then, of course, her family got killed watching them. And it was just her and Pietro. But at the same time, I'm like, yes, that was a heartbreaking scene when her family got killed. But I didn't really see the point of making her a witch. Exactly. I did not. I kind of liked the story with the Mind Stone thing. Just making her a witch and then adding this whole, she's the legendary Scarlet Witch. And that wasn't really, like, what does that even mean? Like, there's no context to that. That makes me go, oh man, I love that idea. Because there was no context in it. They could have added a context to it. Maybe in the past scene with Agatha. But they didn't do it. So I'm kind of like, they should have just maybe left it as it was. So I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Like I said, there was some tragic moments. The part where, she's, that bomb comes into their living room and you see these two children just waiting for basically their deaths for this bomb to explode and them just to, die. And then have to be there for 2 days waiting for that bomb to explode. But it kind of didn't really explain to it. Did she know that she was capable of those powers, of the probability thing of basically turning that bomb off? Or was it, and if so, why did she lead her brother and even herself to a certain extent to believe that it was just a faulty bomb and that was the only thing that saved them when it was actually her? So I didn't really understand that aspect of it. I just did not like that. I just really did not like that backstory and that reveal. I kind of wish they would have left it as it was. And of course, then you see her in the Hydra, where in the Hydra, place that she was at, where she's dealing with the Mind Stone, and the Mind Stone reveals her future self to her. And the only reason why it was responding to her was because she was already a witch, basically. I just didn't really, again, that was kind of an interesting thing But I was like, was it because she was a witch is the reason why it picked her? Or didn't kill her like it did all the other ones? Or was it because she was powerful enough to control it? What was the deal with it that caused her to be able to do this? And another thing is, how did Agatha know about these stones to begin with? I get it. She's on Earth, and she's probably doing with these, omnipotent beings, evil beings with their chaos magic. But to know about the stones, I don't really understand that, because that was kind of more of like a cosmic play than it was, something just necessarily here on Earth, or that has to deal with that. So I'm curious to see who's the one that told Agatha about those, about the Mind Stone and about all of that stuff. Is it the person that she's trying to get this information for? Is what I would love to know. But yeah, I mean, there was that. I hated the part that there was no backstory over the Darkhold at all. Like, why show the book if you're not going to do anything about it? What was the point? I mean, it didn't tell who. I think the guy that was supposed to create it, or the being that was supposed to create it, was Chthon. And they didn't do anything about that. They didn't give any backstory over that at all. I did not understand why do the end credit scene with Pietro, the last episode, but then not even showing this episode. And then basically to kind of make it feel like he's just a nobody. Like he's just somebody in this town, or maybe he's somebody that she did bring from another multiverse or universe or whatever, like the X-Men universe, and place him there. But why would she have gone to all that trouble of getting the one from the X-Men universe to put there? What would have been the point of that? Like, why not just get some random person or create these, the illusion of these powers or something along those lines? But instead, he was basically just her puppet. And the whole time that he was speaking, it was really just her talking. Which that was another thing I didn't like, because I actually did enjoy that character of Quicksilver. I hated that it wasn't him speaking and that it was actually just her all along. So yeah, I just didn't. There were just these little things throughout this episode that I didn't like the route that they went with it. I don't want this Pietro to be just a nobody. I don't want him to be that. I want him to be something that deals with this story in some form or fashion. And it don't look like that's what we're going to get. And so I'm kind of a little bit disappointed. I hope I'm totally wrong by episode 9. I hope that they do something just completely different and just blow us away the last episode. But I kind of feel like the last episode is going to be between that White Vision and the Vision and the Hex Vision, and the battle that's going to rage on with that. And I'm kind of, I don't know, that's going to be really cool, and that's going to be a really, really sad part, but it's, and, I guess it would be a really cool way to end it. Maybe, that's how the Hex Vision dies, is trying to save Wanda from basically his soulless self. I didn't really, okay. So, from what I understood of it, and this is just what I understood of it, the drone, because it was sent into the Hex, it had the power of the Hex, and they used the drone as a means of bringing this White Vision back to life. What was the point of bringing the White Vision back to life, or this new Vision back to life, if they could have maybe used that power to bring back the original Vision back to life? Or is that what they don't want? Do they not want to bring that Vision back to life because he has a personality? Like, what was the reasoning behind it, is what I'm trying to say. Is I just feel like this soulless entity, you're just asking for another super robot to take over and hate human beings and try to take over the world. Like, I just feel like you're asking for that at this point. So I don't really understand Hayward. Hayward has to be either the ultimate bad guy or somebody that is something. He's something. There's something really strange about him. What was the point of bringing up that she went in there and stole Vision's body when he knew she didn't steal Vision's body? What was the point of that to even why even lie about that? Like, I didn't understand that, because I know there was a part of me that, you know, because he had said that, I couldn't understand why he was not adamant about trying to save Vision when he was being tore apart once leaving the Hex. Like, I couldn't figure that out. But it was all because at the end of the day he knew that that wasn't Vision, and he didn't. And even if it was, he didn't need that Vision because he already had this new Vision, basically. So I mean, I'm kind of like, he's got to be evil in some form or fashion. I'm curious to see. I mean, they have to tell who he is or what his reasoning behind it is. I just really kind of thought it was a man that Hayward was just a guy that had spent the last 5 years trying to understand what had gone on, realizing that, you know, there was some threats from space that needed that you had to go to whatever extreme to combat those threats. I thought it was going to be because of that, but apparently it's something even more sinister about him than what I originally thought. And the sad part is he would be kind of an interesting bad guy if they would give him a little bit more roles, or maybe explain just a little bit more about him, because the idea, there's a little bit of mystery behind him, and he's got a personality that you want to hate him, but then you kind of like him at the same time, because he's not really, like, he's not being outwardly aggressive. He's just kind of making some good points, and so you're kind of like, oh, I hate this guy. I know he's evil in some ways, but then at the same time he's kind of making some good points to a certain extent. You know, you don't want a Vision, something like Vision just roaming around out there somewhere. You wouldn't want her to, like, just bury this $1 billion robot. Like, you wouldn't want something along those lines. But to be fair, if you're dealing with something as powerful as what Wanda is, I probably would have let her bury him and got that closure in that way, and then, I don't know, dug him up or something along those lines. I mean, I would have done something like that. I wouldn't let her destroy him, but she wanted to bury him. I'd been like, okay, you can bury him, and then wait till she's gone and then just dig him back up. But that's probably something that, makes a little bit too much sense, especially when you're dealing with this being that is like Scarlet Witch, that is, almost omnipotent. Like, she's all powerful, basically. She's just one of the strongest beings in the entire universe. Somebody that's able to actually bend reality as we know it. So, I mean, that's not exactly somebody I'd be saying no to. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I mean, there's that. I did like the part. I didn't hate all the past stuff. I did enjoy the Vision Wanda scene where Vision is trying to figure out Malcolm in the Middle, and he's also trying to figure out Wanda's sadness. He doesn't understand emotion, but he knows that he cares about her, and if it means something to her, he's going to try to console her in the best way that he knows, or really the only way that he knew. And I thought that was actually a really beautiful scene where he's trying to just expand upon what grief really is. And yes, it's horrible and it's tragic that you're grieving somebody, but at the same time, you knew somebody to grieve, basically. You know, and that was kind of what I was, you know, somebody that was worth grieving over, you know. It was just the continuation of that love. So I just kind of, I kind of thought that was kind of beautiful a little bit. I did really actually enjoy that scene. I enjoyed the fact that Paul Bettany, you know, he hinted that there was this actor that he wanted, that he was excited to work with, and everybody just was like, who is it? You know, who is it? Everybody was thinking Magneto. They were thinking, you know, all these different, you know, X-Men things coming into the MCU, but no, it was actually just him. And I actually kind of thought that was kind of brilliant in his way. Which, if you really kind of look back on it, you can kind of see it. Like, it was like he was trying to give that hint that it was him he was talking about. Which, you know what, he's a great actor, and I'm glad he got to work with himself. That's all I could say about that. But, you know, going back to even some of the bad, though, this Hex thing and Wanda in general is really confusing me. I don't know if it's a hex that causes her to not remember things, if it's her grief that's not causing her to remember things, but the idea that Agatha has to remind her of just, I mean, not the past stuff. I mean, you could let it go about the past stuff. You'd say, well, you know, that's understandable, you know, when she was a kid. But the fact that the more recent thing, like the one with the one where, you know, she goes and finds the dead Vision in Sword headquarters, that to me was so odd that she had to remind her of that. Like, that's how they got to that situation. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing that just blows my mind, and I've never really found a good answer to it after this episode, is who put the letter there? Like, how did it just show up all of a sudden? Someone planted that letter there, and I don't really understand why she wasn't a little bit more suspicious of it. I would say letter. I guess it was like a deed to a house or something along those lines, or plans for a house in that one spot. But I mean, I just didn't really understand why she wasn't a little bit more suspicious of it, and why no one's really talking about that today. Like, you know, where did it come from? You know, did the mailman just be like, oh, I'm going to drop this off in your car? Or did she already have it? Like she acted like it was new to her, so it wasn't like it was something that she had brought there to that Sword headquarters. So I don't know. There's just so many little things like that that just confound me on this. But yeah, I mean, overall, I did enjoy this episode to a certain extent, but I thought it was below par in many instances. I even thought the Agatha with the, I don't know why that bothered me for some reason, but it did. Agatha having the leashes on the boys, like, I'm like, there could have been a different way you could have done that scene that wouldn't have looked so bad. Like, that just, I don't know. That just, it wasn't like a big pet peeve or anything like that to me. But it was like one of those things I was like, ooh, that's kind of like poor taste. Where you've got these children on leashes and you're choking them. Like there would be a better way that she could have done that scene. I mean, after all, she's got the power to control somebody with just her finger. Why did she need to look that way in the first place? And another thing is, why did she, you know, if it was those runes that was keeping Wanda from not being able to fight back, why would you let her leave that place? Like, why would you let her out on the street where she could fight you? Like, what is the end game on that? Like, is that just, you know, her being stupid, or is there an actual reason that she wanted her to go out there to fight her. So I'm curious about that. That's what that's probably my biggest questions for this next episode. It's not, like I said, this episode I felt like was lacking, but also I felt like it could have been used better. Like, this episode could have been used to, you know, who's Pietro? Or something along those lines. Or, you know, maybe, you know, done the storyline with her going to Sword headquarters and then coming to Westview. Like, that would have been fine with me. But I didn't understand why we needed to go through the whole she's a witch thing. Like, I kind of thought that was a little bit something we didn't need to go through. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I just feel like it was just a waste of time as a viewer. That the story that we had already was fine. You didn't have to change it. That's the way I looked at it. But overall, I mean, I would give this episode probably about a 5 out of 10. I mean, just for a number of different reasons. It just, I don't know. It was just, to me, it was just a really poor episode. And that's saying something, because I praise this show in so many different ways. You know, about every scene not being wasted scenes. But I kind of felt like there was some scenes in there that might not have been wasted. It might play a crucial role maybe in the next episode. But as far as just this episode in general, I thought there was a lot of wasted scenes, a lot of wasted dialogue. And then some really sketchy scenes that probably shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Again, like with the children on the leash thing. That was kind of a little bit poor taste in my view. But overall, guys, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all are excited about this episode. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I know I'm probably in the minority when it comes to this. But to me, it just it didn't feel right. It wasn't as entertaining as past episodes. But you know what? No show's going to be perfect, and I don't expect this show to be any different. But I will say the show set a really high bar, and to a certain extent, I do expect it to follow that high bar. But you know what? Maybe next episode will make this episode look pretty good, because maybe there was a lot of setup in this episode that will, you know, pay off in the next episode. But guys, let me know what y'all think, and as always, thank y'all for watching. Y'all take